Hello, music lovers. How are you doing? Welcome to Full Record Jacket with Phil and Ben, and the final
What was that?
program where we are picking our favourite albums of each year of the 90s. We've already taken our top threes, we've done those over the months. Now we're having to pick our individual favourite album from each year, which
Yep.
gives us a total
Yep.
of, I'll give us
12.
24 albums, won't it?
24, yeah, 24.
And then we can add a few more on and have a knockout tournament for Christmas.
We
So,
can.
1998.
Yes.
You've got to choose one of these three. You
Go
chose
on,
them
hit me with
before.
it.
You chose
Hit
these.
me.
New Radicals. Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too.
Yes.
Pulp. This Is Hardcore.
Yes.
And Robbie Williams. I've Been Expecting You. So
Yes, you have.
what's your top pick of the pops on those three?
Robbie Williams, I've been expecting you. Great album. Really like that album. I think I went to see him on that tour as well. This Is Hardcore. Very underrated Pulp album, I think. This Is Hardcore. I don't think I have said before that This Is Hardcore is kind of the morning after the night before of Be Here Now. I think This Is Hardcore was sort of like the album that was the hangover from the Britpop excess, I think. But it's a really, really great album. Very underrated Pulp album. In fact, I'd almost say it's possibly my favourite Pulp album. I'm quite inclined to put it up there because it's got a very good, cool front cover as well, which always helps. And then the New Radicals. Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too. Always known as a one-hit wonder. And they did release a second single after You Only Get What You Give, but by that point, Greg Alexander had grown tired of touring, etc., and just wanted to concentrate on songwriting and went off and wrote Life is a Roller Coaster for Ronan Keating. It's possibly one of my favourite albums of all time. I love that album. I've listened to it many, many times. It could be accused against slightly World Party in the in parts, but that's not a bad thing. World Party, another kind of underrated band. It's a very, I mean, you've listened to it now. It's very drug reference heavy, but I think it's a very, I suppose it'd be classed as a pop album, maybe indie rock album, but it's kind of different to everything else with the things that he sings about, and yeah, I just think it's a really
pop
great
album. I think it's a pop album with some slightly dark themes and some.
Yes, yeah, it
It's
does. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not your usual pop lyrics, is it?
No,
So
no.
that elevates it for sure.
Yeah, I think it raises it above everything else. It gives it that sort of different twist. Great front cover as well. I love the song Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too, with its almost unrecognisable lyrics. You know, I think one of the lines is, "I'm going to take you to the ambulance shop to do the baboon, yeah." I think is one of the lyrics in it, but it's got that really great sort of, the fact you can't really hear the lyrics clearly in that song. It's got that very sort of dark beat to it. I think, like I say, as a pop album, it's not like a pop album, is it? It's
No.
So yeah, for me, 1998, it was never in doubt, really. This Is Hardcore is a great album. Really do like the Robbie Williams album, but it is Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too by the New Radicals.
Okay.
Oh, look at yours. There's only one winner in yours for me.
So, Lucinda Williams, Car Wheels on a Gravel Road. That is a great album. That is a great.
I've not listened to it yet, and I know you've
rock
told,
stroke country
to listen to it.
Yeah, rock stroke country, whatever you want to call it. Very, very good. She's a great songwriter. Mercury Rev and Deserter Songs, which is a bit of a dream pop,
Yeah.
alternative rock, mellow, orchestrated stuff. Really good album. Very highly rated by critics. And then we've got Madonna with Ray of Light. Now, the other week, I had to go to the airport. I had to get up at 3:00 in the morning and drive to the airport. Not the greatest time but quite a nice time to drive in a way because there's not much traffic on the roads.
Yeah.
And I decided to have something on musically that was familiar, that would just comfort me while I was driving through this darkness.
Yeah.
And I went with Madonna's Ray of Light.
Great album.
And, I think I've forgotten just how good that is.
It's her best album.
A lot of people would argue that. It's certainly up there I think it's certainly up there as good as anything she ever did. So I would say that I do think, and I think people should check that out, even if you're not massively keen on Madonna. Maybe it would give you a different view of her if you listen to that whole album.
It's very trip hoppy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did William Orbit produce it?
William Orbit produced it all.
Yeah.
It's kind of like chip hop, but they also put some guitars on it as well.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And it's
one of my favourite albums of the 90s is that album.
So I'm going to have that there. So I've got Madonna, Ben's got the New Radicals for 98, and we now got to do 99. So you went with another one from Stereophonics. You have Performance and Cocktails.
Yes.
And then you went for a guest-laden delight from Santana. That was Supernatural.
Yep.
And then another one, which I know you like the band, but I can't help thinking you partly picked it because of the title. It's Kula Shaker with Peasants, Pigs and Astronauts.
Yeah, 99 for me was a bit of a barren year, really. There wasn't a standout album in that year for me.
There wasn't a small group of super outstanding albums. There was a lot of good albums, but not...
Yeah, I mean, there is one album in your choices that would have made mine, but you chose it, and that's this one.
Oh, yeah. The Soft Bulletin.
Great album. Love that album. That's one thing. I tell you what, when I'm reading your eulogy, after that horrific accident where I accidentally cut your brake lines, I shall be thanking you for introducing me to
the Flaming Lips album. You like
the Flaming Lips album? Yeah,
you possibly like it more than I do.
I do really like it. I do. I just think everything about it is just the album cover. Now, I always thought that album cover looked a bit film-like it should be from a movie, but it's actually from a photo. I think it was either in the 60s or 70s, something like that. But this guy here is basically smacked off of his bosoms,
right,
on drugs, and it was taken by a doctor who was, I can't remember the backstory of it, but apparently it's an iconic photo of somebody monitoring the effects of
drugs. Okay, I never knew that.
Yeah, I always thought it was a like a film, because it does very much look like a film score photo. So, but that obviously you've chosen that album. It's not in my 3 because you chose it, took it away from me. But I'm not going to hold you against you. And I think I do really like the Kula Shaker album. It's not as good as K. And I think Kula Shaker suffered with this album because of the big 3-year gap between K and this album. I think they just lost a lot of momentum. And the Santana album is a really, really, really good album. I really like the Santana album, but I like it more now than I did then. I liked it then, but I like it more now because I'm listening. I'm not just listening to it for the singles. I'm listening to the whole album, and therefore my choice is the Stereophonics and Performance and Cocktails. I really love that album. It's more commercial than the debut album, Word Gets Around. It's obviously got Bartender and the Thief on it. It's Just Looking on it. Yeah. And yeah, it's just a really good album, really good sort of follow up to the debut album, Word Gets Around. So that's what I'm going for. I think it's got, yeah, I think it's just a very good album. I'm just trying to think of some of the track listings off the top of my head. My head's gone blank. So yeah, that's what I'm going for, dude.
Okay. Stereophonics, Performance and Cocktails. Now, I've got three. It's a difficult choice here. I've got Wilco with Summerteeth. I've got Tom Waits, Mule Variations, and Flaming Lips, the album that you just showed us, The Soft Bulletin. Now, I'll tell you which one I've listened to the most is the Wilco one. And I still think that's my favourite of those three.
Which one? The Wilco one?
Yeah, I still think that's my favourite. So that means if the Flaming Lips are to get through, they're going to have to do it on a wild card.
I'm just having a look at the. I can't believe you're not putting the Flaming Lips through. I'm just trying to find the about the front cover of the Flaming Lips.
I'm just more into Jeff Tweedy as a songwriter.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and it's that kind of.
I'm just having a look. Here we go. Going back to the Flaming Lips Soft Bulletin. The photo's title is called The Acid Test. Neil Cassidy reveals that this anonymous figure is one of the most iconic, if elusive figures in 20th century literature. A teenage dropout who fell in with the young Jack Kerouac, Cassidy became the inspiration for perhaps quintessential. I'm just going through this. I'm sure. Here we go. Through acid cure, Tim Leary should have made contact with Casey, who told him that pranksters were due to hold an acid test on Sunset Boulevard. So they were taking drugs, basically. Mid-trip, they skipped down to the block to pose for portraits. Cassidy was there. At one point when they... So Cassidy is the guy in the photo, and the photographer went there, and he says, at one point I went over and he started dancing with his silhouette. It had a certain poetry with it. The Cassidy photo ran as part of a feature in Life magazine. Can any law keep the awesome drug away from reckless hands? Screamed the caption. So that's basically what it was. It's from a 1966 photo, so it's actually quite an old photo. So they'd obviously taken some acid, and it's him dancing with his own shadow. Is where that cover comes from. So still wasn't good enough for you to put it through, though, was it, Philster?
You said go with what you like the most.
No, I don't. I know you did. And you're probably right. I probably a bigger sound, a bigger what's the word? Bigger
fan of the album.
Fan of this album than probably you are.
I did have it on the other day, but I put it on in the car, which is probably not the best place to hear it, really.
Yeah.
And it's good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but it's not. But if
I'm going to the desert island, I'm going with Jeff Tweedy.
Yeah,
and also the Tom Waits album is a great one. So that's going to be.
Is that the one where he's all?
That's the one. So
yeah.
that could go through as well, but because I like a bit of rah 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 rah. So yeah.
So that's it. We've completed our 24.
Only a handful of albums can now be added to that list.
Yeah, so we've got Sam's 2. That takes us to 26. Which we need 32 albums, don't we, to have a proper
knockout.
Proper knockout. Oh, what a pain. So we've still got another 6 albums to put in. We might be able to have 3 each.
Yeah, 3 each.
Yeah.
From the rest. But we'll do that in another show. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Bye for now.